welcome to our Salesian Vocation of Don Bosco USA West podcast. And good morning from Bellflower, Southern California. Because God called us in many different ways. He loves to speak to us always, and He will speak direct to our hearts. So listen to His voice, for He is never tired of speaking to every single one of us. It is sometimes simple as an invitation, but other times it could be in an unexpected way. The story of a young new Blessed Carlos Acutis is an example of living a vocation in the midst of the world today. He used his gift and his talent to serve others in a very humble way. Pope Francis described him as a young man in love with the Eucharist. He showed young people that true happiness is found in putting God in the first place and serving Him in others, in our brothers and sisters. As we see here, Pope Francis said, "To be saint is not a privilege for the few, but a vocation for everyone." So young people, do not be afraid to follow Christ. Do not be afraid to respond to God's call. In saying that, I would like you to meet with one of our Salesian brothers who has been working for young people for many years, Brother Elvu. He is going to share with us about his vocations as a Salesian and his impressions on the young Blessed Carlos Acutis.
Good morning, Father Vian. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a little bit warm up here in Berkeley, but, I could deal with that.
It is hot over here too. I think we share the same weather in California. But first of all, welcome to our Salesian Vocation of Don Bosco, USA West. Before we begin our conversation, can you just go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience so they can know who you are first, please?
Sure. My name is Brother Alvu, and I'm a Salesian of Don Bosco. I'm a co-adjutor Salesian, and I currently am ministering as the coordinator of education, animating our 5 high schools here in the province of San Francisco.
Wow, it seems a lot.
It is, but it's fun and good work.
Thank you for all your work. My first question for you, Brother Al, can you tell us how did your vocation as a Salesian begin?
Oh, geez. When I was a young kid living in San Clemente, one of my associate pastors by the name of Father Bob Pullman was a former Salesian. And growing up, I was an altar server, and I always looked up to Father Bob. He was one of those priests that was great with young people, his homilies, the way that he interacted with us, the way that he, taught us not just, how to altar serve, but really, how to be good young people, and just really appreciated his presence. And because of that, I just kept him as an example. When I grew up, I wanted to be like him. I later on went on to university and was, discerning with the Jesuits. And as I got to learn more about them and they knew about me, we realized that, maybe I was called to something different than Ignatian spirituality and Jesuit life. And it called me to the Salesians. And it kind of made, a full circle coming back to Father Bob and youth ministry and that sort of thing. So that's kind of where it started, but just really falling in love with St. John Bosco and the Salesian and Salesian work, and just how down to earth the Salesians were when I first met them.
Interesting. I didn't know you knew the Jesuit first, and thank you for saying yes to the Salesian. We're so happy to help you. Thank you for saying yes. And talking about discernment and the long process and how you know the Salesians. Remember, I mentioned in the last video, I encourage all the director and pastor and principal and many people to create the opportunities for young people to discern, for prayer, for discernment on vocation. Would you like to say something about it, like what is a good discernment process? What is the good way to discern?
Well, I think, any way to discern starts with prayer, and to have that relationship with God, and to speak with God about that every day. Um, I think not only speaking with God, I think through prayer, but also to find someone that you trust, someone that you could get good feedback from, that can accompany you. I think is always good, so that you get that feedback and you get that those answers from somebody that can give you a good insight.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that prayer is very important. The very first step to discern and seek for help. That way people will help us. We don't have to do it in our own.
No.
There's people will help us to see things more
Exactly.
clearly. And the next question I really want to ask you and see what is your opinion or your.
Yes.
As you know that recently the whole church was so excited about news. Blessed Carlos Acutis, a young man,
Yes.
a beautiful example. What is your thought about him or about his beatification?
Well, I think I join thousands of young people of the church itself in celebrating another young saint in the church. I think he's a great example for all of us, but specifically young people. He was a young person who lived his life in such a way that was grounded in wanting to become the best person he could be, and to live in a way that was reflective of God's mercy and God's love in this world. And I think he's a good example for young people because he was just so normal and just an everyday kid.
Yes, I like it. It's just a normal kid can set the world on fire now by the way of his life, the way of. So, if you have something to say to young people at this moment, what would you like to say to them?
Well, I think I would say take Blessed Carlos as an example of living your life in such a way that is reflective of what God calls you, your day-to-day life as a son, as a daughter, as a student, as a friend, and to not take advantage of what that means, to build all those relationships and not get consumed by all these other things that are outside in our culture and our society that I think brings us down from being who we are authentically and genuinely. It's not about how many posts, how many likes, how many affirmations that we get from the social media, but really a way that we can, like Blessed Carlos, take every day as God's gift, and how do you respond to that in the ordinary, the day-to-day things, doing your duties and doing your chores, doing your homework, being a good son, being a good daughter. I think that's something that I would probably tell young people, and to really live life and embrace life abundantly, because at the end of the day, it's the life that we have, and it's the life that we've been given.
Thank you, Brother L. Thank you for your sharing, and thank you for all the work you have done for the young people and for the province of the Salesian Don Bosco. And thank you.
Exactly.
I hope I can see you in the near future, so we can share more about Salesian life and consecrated life and your vocation as the cultural brother. Thank you again, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you for having me.
And to young people, thank you for listening and watching. I hope that the story of Brother L's vocation will help you to understand more about Salesian life, and the story, an example of the Blessed Carlos Acutis will encourage us, help us to live our faith more actively in a way that the church teaching, in a way that we can be a witness to the people around us, to make a difference in the world. And have a wonderful day. God bless.